Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Tragic Master's already on the chat saying hi. Hey, Tragic Master. So for the Year of the Raven celebration, they've made it nice and obvious and pretty easy to see. You're going to get a card pack for every daily quest you do, which I suppose, if you were the type of player who wasn't playing the right way and not willing to trade out quests to get at least 60 gold, if you can do that, now would be the best time to trade down to like 40 gold quests that are easier to do and get those packs. Right now I have Druid cards and Rage cards and 80 gold for a Challenger Friend on Asian accounts, so I need to probably see if I can add people as I'm playing, and let's look in our collection and see what we've got. At the end, wow, they're just gonna put these stars all over the place, aren't they? At the end of last stream, which went really long, really long, trying to do all the daily quests, I knew it was going to. We were just not getting victories. I started to just take out decks and build classic decks just from the recipes for these old accounts. I think that's what we're going to lean on some more. However, right now we need enrage cards, so we'll just delete that deck since that's a real easy deck to build anyways. So now on my at least European and Asian account, I'm just gonna start using these recipes because they literally work better than what I've got right now and what I'm building, which is to probably just give up and admit that I have no clue what I'm doing at all. Like, oh, this is not going to work very well. Jeez, do we have any? If we turn this to a wild deck, could we get some more? Could we craft some more? I mean, we could use dust to make it some, and I think we might need to. Wild, standard. Seriously, just to do a daily quest, we're gonna have to do this. Spend 80 of our about 140 dust there, and let's do this one here too. So there goes our dust. See, that's a great example of just things you're gonna have trouble with trying to build a deck just to be able to play simplistic things. Let's see. I'm still struggling to fill my deck with cards that would cause me to draw more cards. There we go. Let's see, does this even need to be a wild deck? No, it doesn't. So, for 50 gold, I normally wouldn't do this daily quest, but since we're stuck here, like, that was a lot of dust to spend just for that. Alright, since we're just playing cards and theoretically would like to get 500 wins at some point in the next decade, and theoretically if we got on some crazy win streak and did get up to rank 21, I mean rank 19, that would be okay too. Tragic Master says whirlwind effects. Yes, I certainly would have put Whirlwind in if I was going for an Enraged deck that was specifically built around actually winning with Enraged cards. But this deck is actually just built around the concept of playing the Enraged cards and being done with it. Since I only need to play 10, that's not asking too much. Speaking of asking a lot, however, I've got tons of news. We mostly wrapped up all the news in the Friday stream. I actually worked this weekend too, which it's been about a month of being in a slump after being several other months of also being in a slump. I mean, I imagine it's somewhere since November. I would say that's the last time I was pretty consistently making content and working every day that I felt like I should be working, which probably I'm asking too much of myself, particularly now that I'm streaming for so long, every 3 days a week. But I probably should have at least some days off. If maybe I should have very much say on Tuesday and Thursday no work, or on Saturday and Sunday no work, to have 2 days a week off specifically like a normal person would. But right now I'm not kind of doing that. I'm kind of just, whenever I feel like working, I'm working, and whenever I don't feel like working, I don't. But this weekend I did feel like working, so Full Throttle Remastered, the developer's commentary I went through, I think I already mentioned that. And I played all of Riven. And in a kind of funny way, I've been talking about how it would be nice if there were more games that had no violence in them whatsoever, because of the whole false argument that the video games cause school shootings. It would be nice if we had some more games that have no violence in them whatsoever. And Riven, the sequel to Myst, a 21-year-old game, sort of doesn't have any violence in it. At the very beginning, a person is poison darted and put to sleep. And that's kind of it. There might be some implications of violence in one of the alternate endings. There's implications of people being sacrificed and executed by a cruel leader, but it's never shown. So it's about as non-violent as you could get. And as I'm playing Riven, which is like Myst but only worse in a lot of ways, instead of sending you to different ages in like Myst, where each age was its own puzzle and it was smaller and kept in check, and it was reasonable that a player would be able to wander around a single age and figure out, oh, the solution has to be around here somewhere. Instead of doing that, they put all of the puzzles on one giant age, one separated by 4 islands that are the separation of the 4 islands don't really indicate what you would think they would indicate. Because you would think that there would be one puzzle on one island and one puzzle on the other island. That's not true at all. All the puzzles are interconnected. You end up going in circles around the island several times. There's one specific part where you have to get to a specific point via a kind of submarine machine, and you can't get back to the submarine machine, so you have to leave that island and go in a full circle, even if there's like nothing that you even need to do or want to do. It just forces you to do it, and because of that, you just wander around. the first 4 or 5 hours, I would say, of playing Riven, which I spent, I would say, probably 8 hours in total playing Riven. Like the first 4 or 5 hours, I had done, and I would feel like 80% of all of the puzzles and seen 80% of the land. But that last 20% was a struggle and required me to use a walkthrough. It required me to try everything, pull out pencil and paper. There's one very specific point in Riven where you have to find basically a Rosetta Stone that teaches you a numbering system and how to read the numbering system. If you don't learn that, and you can only learn it in one place, where a modern game would most definitely give you multiple places in which you might be able to learn the numbering system. If you don't learn the numbering system in that one place, you cannot progress. There's a point later on in the game where you have to use the combination of learning that numbering system and learning the sounds of certain animals that are randomly placed throughout the game together to see what the animals look like. And once you see what the animals look like and combine it with the sounds and combine it with the numbering system, then you have this code that unlocks a portal to where you absolutely have to go to move the story forward. In fact, that is the huge difficulty spike. Fortunately, that code does not reset or change, so you can just use a walkthrough for that part. But the numbering system, I think, does change. So I don't believe you can actually just cheat through that part. So you have to actually write it down. There's a certain puzzle that, again, you can just use a walkthrough for, but it requires you to use a topography system to find out where 5 golden domes are, find out what the number for each of the golden domes is, and in that number in a different numbering system then has to be coordinated to a color that you see in a completely different area, and then the color takes you to this puzzle where you have to put a certain color marble in a certain square to represent where the gold domes are on a map. It's totally insane. Any modern game, like Riven really screams that we are an old-fashioned game. We're a game made by just a couple of people, the Miller brothers and their family, and we're a game that was in that old style of really wanting you to have to buy the walkthrough or call the tip line. It was really designed to spend a lot of the players' time, and certainly a lot of people did not like Myst and did not like Riven because of that. Although I would say most people who didn't like Myst probably already had learned not to play Riven. But Riven's even worse than Myst is. There's a lot fewer puzzles in Riven than there are in Myst, and they are bigger, more complicated puzzles. And that got me 8 of the enraged things. And meanwhile, I'm just going to try and add everybody we can. I'm actually a little surprised it just took me the weekend to beat it, but I guess just sticking with it. Also did 45-minute episodes, which was the right amount. I think 45-minute episodes is probably the right amount for most recordings, but I'm trying 30-minute episodes. I'm in this weird position where it might be very financially smart to stretch out content further and further ahead in the future to some distant point where I might be monetized again. And I mean, I still have to release content and try and get new subscribers to get to that point. I didn't know we could do that. But yeah, that'd be nice. To continue down this way. Let me look at the chat. I think, let's see. Tragic Master said new cards were revealed today, exciting for the new Warlock Legendary. I haven't seen the new cards yet. They're really trickling out the reveals of the cards, and I just don't really have a lot of interest in looking at the cards piecemeal. Once we can look at them all, that's when I want to do my video, even if that hurts me in views. Like, certainly I probably could make 5-10 minute videos talking about the new cards and just kind of mumbling my way through it and trying to guess what they do and if they're going to be good in the meta. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to do that, but I'd like to see I'm very much a synergy player, and I'd like to see all the cards to see what the synergies are going to be. Which is a little weird because it doesn't really feel like Hearthstone is that much of a synergy game. Let's see, is there anything else to really say about Riven? Run it with the Scum VM engine. Don't just launch it from the main game. You can get better quality video, and it's probably a little bit less buggy. The remasters or / re-releases, which I'm not 100% sure how Cyan is going to do that for the 25th anniversary of all the missed games. If there is a remaster of Riven, I'll look at it. It would be nice if there was a real Riven where you could actually walk around and you're not just clicking like forward and then fading into a scene forward and clicking to the right and fading into the scene right. But that isn't actually, I think, what would fix the problems with Riven. The problems with Riven are the puzzles are too difficult and too big. And it would have been better if Riven was just remade. If they had taken all of the puzzles of Mist and integrated them into Riven, that would be interesting. In fact, you could probably have all the puzzles sort of solved in Mist already and just let the player go back to the Mist Island for fun. Maybe you could have Mist integrated into Riven as the game, as kind of a tutorial. It would have also been nice if you're going to make Riven in the modern age to just have a character, like have your sidekick, like have Atris with you and have him teach you the puzzles and explain to you what's going on. Have somebody that's talking to you. That way you could be the student and you could still play the game, but you don't ever have would feel like the game is just throwing you into an incredibly complex puzzle world with no explanation. Those are things that you would do in the modern age, but even when this game came out, it feels like there would have been room for more audio on the DVD-ROM that Riven was sold on, and they should have paid the actors to voice act a little bit more and record these. There's about 5 extremely long journals that you just have to read, and you really have to read them. It's not like Skyrim or The Witcher 3 where you can read the books if you want to. You absolutely have to read the books because the journals have the codes written in them. So maybe if you'd played the game before, you would have skipped through that. But also, that's the only point of the story. It would have been nice maybe if you'd broken up the journal into scraps of paper that were just lying around it randomly, and then you pick them up, and then there was some voice acting. You do have an inventory in Riven, which you didn't have in Mist, but then you don't really do anything with that inventory. There's clearly points where you could have made like pencil rubbings or notes. You could have written down things, taken snapshots, running around Riven with a audio recorder and a photo. Like if you just had a cell phone, frankly, where you could take pictures, record the audio, encode things. Frankly, if Riven had more doors with a lockpick minigame, it would feel like there was more of a game there. And some of that stuff could have certainly been in the original game. Some of that stuff would better be placed in a remake. I feel like the entire Mist series would do better if they did make a remake and just called it Mist. It was Mist Island, but it also linked to the Riven Island. Maybe there's not anywhere as much as you do on Riven. It also links to all the ages and islands you go to in Mist 3, 4, 5. Make a 60-hour story where you solve the same puzzles, but you're also more integrating with people and communicating, and you're not just alone solving mechanisms. It's funny. I really do love the Mist series, but I'm not a fan at all of Riven as much as I think other people might be. Anyways, I need to move on. We've got more news than this. There's a game called Survival Planet that came out on the 27th from Nexus Labs. It looks like an asset flip of a survival game. Let's see what Nexus Labs has released. Nothing. And they want $12 for this early access game. Well, I could have closed that tab immediately. This. Couple different people, it seems like, died. So the former Visceral developer Walter Hung, H-U-A-N-G, a longtime software engineer for EA's Visceral games, has passed away. Visceral, I believe, was the one that made Dead Space. Hung spent 13 years at EA as both a software engineer and a senior software engineer, with roughly 9 of those years spent as at Dead Space developer Visceral game. During his time in the studio, Hung played a part in development of The Godfather, the Dead Space trilogy, Dante's Inferno, Battlefield Hardline, and more. That is a mixed bag of games. I've probably played enough Enraged things. Well, quote, Walter Hung is one of the best persons I've ever worked with. Has passed away, shared fellow ex-Visceral developer Scott Warner on Twitter. Walter was critical in the success of Visceral and will be missed deeply. His memory friends and past co-workers have set up a GoFundMe to share memories and raise the money to support him. And you just like never really get a description of what he passed away from or anything. Let's see. They're gonna cremate him, but they might have a showing of the funeral urn, which that's not really news, because I doubt anybody listening to my YouTube stream is actually going to go to his funeral or should go to his funeral. I'd like to know what he died of, and then they never say, so you always have to assume that it's something embarrassing. Hmm. And like, I'm looking at the comments on the GoFundMe, and they're not saying anything really either. Morgan Webb, who now works at Bonfire Game, has apparently gotten some Warhammer figurines, and she's got like a whole blog here talking about how she and other people at Bonfire Games got into Warhammer and are painting all the little statues and doing all of that, which still not sure really what Bonfire Games is going to make as far as a video game, and I'm not sure they know either. Wish this guy would just hurry up and win so we can just move on. We've got away from reading descriptions of jobs, and I'm just gonna start listing them. So, Demiurge Studios, DIMIURGE, is looking for a principal user interface artist. This is in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I really want to know what Demiurge. Apparently, it's Demiurge parentheses Sega. So, what games have they made? They've made Puzzle Glory, Marvel Puzzle Quest, Arena King, Shoot Mini Robots, Rock Band Country Track Pack 2. This guy is just he's not this guy is just not gonna win. They said they worked on Borderlands. No, they didn't. Well, maybe they're a third party that worked on Borderlands and Rock Band stuff. Maybe they made some DLC. There's a rumor going around the Borderlands 3 will be announced before E3. I find that kind of hard to believe because I don't think that they've even really started. I think it's much closer to they haven't started than they're finished. They should be finished. It says Gearbox enlisted Demiurge's talents once again for their latest release, Borderlands. Blah blah blah. Our goals were creating interesting maps. We were responsible for primary development of the arena mode, the least used mode in the entire game. So here comes the question, do we open these packs now? Or do we save them for later? And see, I still need to challenge a friend. Which... I think I so desperately need cards right now, I can't imagine saving them. And if I get 10 extra packs, like, that's not really going to change a pack opening video. It's just going to make it slightly longer. And yeah, that's an epic. So a new epic card, very helpful. Assuming I didn't have it in already. And there's like nothing to dust. Those are just all new cards. Probably because they were in an expansion that I haven't purchased any cards for at all. Just mark out everything that's new and hope that saves. So Demiurge did the arena. So I wouldn't be surprised if they might be hiring to get a UI interface increase for Borderlands 3. It puts me in a weird position because now I definitely need to. Was this Paladin cards I needed to make? Druid class cards. Good thing I double checked. Just get rid of this custom warrior that we just made and make a custom druid. And probably can fill in 30 slots with druid class cards pretty easily. It'll just be a matter of how long can I last in a single game to play enough of these cards. Yep, there we go. 30 druid cards on standard, no problem whatsoever. Yeah, it puts me in a very weird position because now I need to kind of rush. I was going to play Darksiders 2, and maybe I'll still play that, but I also need to kind of rush now and play Borderlands 2. As far as Borderlands and the pre-sequel, that game may just be slightly skipped over. But I do kind of need to play Borderlands 2 and Borderlands, all the DLC for Borderlands 2, which that's going to certainly take a while. So I'm hoping, for my own personal reasons, I'm hoping Borderlands 3 doesn't get announced and come out really, like, out of nowhere. But it certainly has been long enough for them to have actually done that. There's another story from Gamasutra. Unity releases engine and editor source code through GitHub. Unity has released the full C# code for the Unity engine and editor on GitHub. The company has shared the code under the reference-only license so game devs can peek under the hood and better understand the engine's capabilities. Which I think that pretty much is legal way of saying now they're going to try and sue people that have engines that seem like they're a little too similar to Unity, because now they could say, well, if anybody has an engine that it was updated or came out after we've released the source code and the source code seems similar to ours, we could claim you just stole our source code and try and sue you. So this might be more nefarious than it seems at first glance. Let's see. While it's always been possible and legal to disassemble Unity.net assemblies, not only is this fairly tricky task, but the disassembled output doesn't offer the original components and variable names, making it difficult to fully understand the code. Well, I guess that's an argument to say that you couldn't do that, but I would argue no. There's a pretty big difference between disassembling compiled code and seeing the original code. If anything, the compiler, when it compiles code, changes the source code in a way that might make it seem more overlapping with other code, whereas source code is going to be the most unique and most varied of the things that you would ever see. Let's see. And hit that. Because of that, Unity has decided to cut out the middleman by publishing the original source code itself, although the company has stressed it isn't releasing the engine as open source. The reference-only license permits reading, but not modification. Well, I don't think it even permits, like, use without also going back to Unity's original license. I mean, if I'm understanding it right, you can only look at it and be educated by it. You can't copy it and use it without going back to the Unity license. Which, even so, the article continues, even so, the being able to pour over the Unity engine in the editor assemblies could be very useful learning exercise, especially for those looking to keep tabs on changes as successive versions are released. You can learn more about the decision over at the Unity blog, or check it out right now on GitHub. This is really, really low level stuff, though. It would only be particularly interesting to programmers. Let's see. They also don't take pull requests on GitHub, so if you're trying to submit bugs, you have to report it via the Unity bug reporter. So they're kind of just putting it on a website like GitHub and then not following any of the rules of GitHub. This is just, it's a step, a tiny half step in the direction to doing let's see. Reference purposes means for the sole purpose of inspecting functionality to understand or improve performance of your games, application software, and content developed with Unity. You still need to have the Unity engine license. I am fairly certain, although it's not really saying, to program a game in Unity. Although you can make a lot of games for free in Unity if you put the logo in front of it. For instance, Hearthstone is made in Unity and they license it so you don't see the Unity logo every time you launch the game. Moving on, Gamers has an article. Google offers 15,000 online scholarships to new and seasoned African developers. It's called the African Web and Android Scholarship Program to support software developers in that country. I don't think it inherently requires people to make games, but some of those will definitely be games that get made. So we made 11 of the Druid class cards. And while we're doing that, let's see, if we cancel this and then challenge this guy to a wild duel. Please respond, please say yes, please say yes. Please, 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 all these Asian people that are too picky won't say yes. He's not gonna say yes. He disappeared and disconnected and defriended me. Why am I stuck here now? God Eater 3 for the PlayStation 4 has been listed on Amazon, even though it's labeled as currently unavailable. Let's go ahead and cancel this because this isn't going to work. And go ahead and try and add more people. Let's see. Recruit friends. And while we're waiting for them to decide if they're gonna friend me, well, we'll back into another Druid game. So the other person that died, obituary on Gamasutra, game designer pioneer Bernard Bernie Dekoven, Dekoven, veteran game designer, teacher, and theorist Bernie Bernard Dekoven has passed away after struggling with an illness. He was age 76. That's a more realistic. The other guy was a little younger looking than 76. The news was confirmed by social media by friends and colleagues, including fellow designer Richard Lemarchard, who said Dekoven was an inspiration to all who knew him. Dekoven has been working in the games industry since the 70s. He created an institution called the Games Preserve to explore and teach. Let's do this. Explore and teach others about the relationship between games and play. It was one of the first institutions to acknowledge the value of game studies and was attended by everyone from prison officials and therapists to teachers and members of the clergy. Dekoven was also a keen author and further established himself as a leading voice in play theory with his launch of his 1978 book, The Well Played Game, which has become a standard text in game study courses around the world. Interesting that there's game study courses around the world. He put many of those ideas into practice when designing physical toys and computer games for companies including Mattel, CBS Software, Child's Television Workshop, the Idea Toy Company, and Lego. His many contributions to the game industries earned him the affection nickname Shaman of Play, and he was viewed by many as the most progressive minds in the world of game design. It's funny because I haven't even heard of him. Blah blah blah. The importance of Bernie's life is all around us in games culture today. His work in the new games movement, creating games to unite people, facilitate cooperation, open up the new emotional, intellectual landscapes of play, paved the way for much of what is most exciting in games today, wrote Limchard. From art games and activity games to interactive theater and games education, he had a direct and very profound impact on the curriculum and teaching in our program. He made the first digital art game. How long have we been streaming? It's been almost exactly 45 minutes. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to take a break. And so I'm going to end this game, see if I can spectate somebody, and then just leave the stream going. So I don't even think I'm going to be able to spectate anybody. So apologies to people watching this live. I'll certainly be able to edit this breakout in the pre-recorded footage. But yep, I'm gonna have to take a little bit of a break, run off to the bathroom. That's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description. If you want to support me, gift me a game on Steam. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.